And I would have been okay if they went for it. I think it would actually be a great drive, try to get the momentum back.
And they're going to go for it. They're going to fake it, and it's intercepted. We saw a fake last night. It didn't work, and this one is going to wind up as a pick six. Aggies in the end zone, and it's Reed, his second interception. This one goes back to the house.
Oh, what a play. Holy cow. Some trickery with some trickery. And
good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Rivalry Week in the CFSL. I'm Cole Mantell, and no hurricane is going to stop us again. Welcome back. We are able to, get the PC set up. They got the internet back on Friday, and therefore we got the show back up here. We're recording this on Sunday, and we'll go from there. Welcome to Week 8. I got three great guests, two guys who are returning, and then one new guy. Welcome to the Cole Mantell Show. I'll start with our first guest, returned from 2 weeks ago, our last show. Thought I'd bring him back on. The tight end from Auburn, Domenik Barfield, also known as UmbreonUntamed 23. Got that name right on the first try this time. How you doing, Domenik?
Still did not get it right. It's Umbreon, not Umbreon.
Okay, that's agree to disagree.
No, I mean no. That's literally what the Pokemon's name is, but I don't know what to tell you on that one.
Oh man, how you doing?
Oh man, I'm happy and enjoying a nice little comfy Sunday. Fall weather's really kind of kicking in. Everything's getting nice. Just enjoying a little bit of a chill weekend.
You're out of Alabama, right? You live in Alabama?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. A little bit cooler than Florida. The Florida's been nice after the hurricanes. After they go through, it makes the weather really nice. So it's all good. But there's another hurricane apparently in the Atlantic Ocean right
now. There's always another one.
That's not a joke. Like I got a text from work yesterday. They got another one going. So we'll see what happens for next week's show. All right. Welcome our second guest as well, another frequent member of the show. I think this school has been on maybe more than any other school possibly, either them or Auburn. But Tank, you've been the leader in that. Tankasaurusrex, the Florida State recruiting coordinator, jumping back on the show. How you doing, Tank?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Just excited for this week.
Yeah, you guys got a big rivalry week game as well. That's going to be on. Where did they put your game on?
Monday night. Monday night
Monday?
SmackDown.
Oh, it is Monday.
Monday night Monday night Raw. Let's put it like that. Monday night Raw.
Yeah, it's gonna be the first game. We'll get into that actually pretty quickly here because that's gonna be a big game. Glad to have you on. And then our first timer here, the new guy. James, the Michigan State offensive coordinator. We've had Michigan State guys on before. Obviously, Drake's been on. But I think, James, this is your first appearance.
Yes, sir.
Glad to have you on. And you got a big rivalry week game with me on Thursday against Penn State. Again, we'll talk all about it. It is rivalry week in the CFSL. And, one of my favorite things I did in rivalry week, I was talking to Ryan about this a few weeks ago, I think, is when I used to do the game notes for the CFSL, like if you look in, I think it's league content. Yeah, that's where they put them now. It says the last one I'm just looking at October 17th, right? Oregon at Michigan State game notes. Tennessee at Georgia game notes. What I would do is I would actually put, in this case, it would be Michigan State or Penn State at Michigan State rivalry notes because I just it's one extra step above. And all three of us, our guests and myself included, excuse me, what a week it's going to be. I guess we'll start. See, Domenik, your rivalry week game, we've already heard from you before the show what you think about it. But Auburn, Alabama, tell me what the Iron Bowl means to you, because that's probably the most historic rivalry in this league.
Well, I mean, as a legitimate Auburn fan, I'm not just a Auburn fan because I play in the league. I have Auburn tattoos. No, this is
so sorry.
the.
Yes.
Hey! I'm done watching after this year. This year, I'm gonna enjoy my mental health because both as an Auburn and Florida State fan, I have nothing going for me. I'm gonna start using my Saturdays and start getting things done around the house, going out. But I digress. Now, when it comes down to the Iron Bowl is the rivalry. I don't care what you say about any other rivalry. Take a seat. It is the Iron Bowl. Point blank, period. The entire state shuts down. There is no businesses open. Ain't nothing going on. ain't nobody doing Nathan. That is where it does not matter what your record is when you go into that game. You are going to get each other's best. There have been so many great memories over the last 40 years of the Iron Bowl. It's just the standard when it comes to rivalry games.
I noticed you said 40 years and not 4 years. That's probably good. As a fellow
No, I
Auburn fan.
mean, as a Georgia fan, the last 4 years have been entertaining. They have been very entertaining.
Last year's was absolutely a incredible
I
game,
don't want to talk
just a
about it.
moronic defensive play on 4th and 31.
I don't want to. Take. If yeah, okay, wait a minute. Georgia fan take, and you
I,
want Alabama to win that game?
no, nowhere near. Hate
No, he
Alabama.
just said that it's been
It
entertaining.
was an entertaining game. I hate both of y'all. I don't like either one of you. But
It's fair. It's returned as well.
I just have to. It's 100 years of rivalry. We really don't like each other. People think like Georgia's real rivals like Florida. No, our rival is Auburn. We hate Auburn. I don't like Auburn with a passion. But Cole is the only reason I went there, and I'll give him the applause that he made me get past the hatred and see the light. I guess
War Eagle. All right.
Ew. Ew.
Speaking of which, Tank, I mean, so you guys already have played Florida earlier in the season, which was also a great game.
Yep.
But you kind of touched on it. Monday night, Miami at Florida State. Not only is it a rivalry week game, but it's also going to decide the ACC. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of knew going out for us. We kind of knew going into the season that we had a team that's built to win, and you know, I didn't know we think it was we. I didn't know. I thought it was like gonna be. It was between North Carolina and Miami and my mind who we were gonna have to play against. For the ACC crown. North Carolina. I mean, that game was amazing. I give them their credit. They played an amazing game. They were killing us before we we would decide to turn it on. So I would definitely give them their credit. But this Miami game, this means a lot to us because again, we lost to Florida. Like we lost the one part of the Sunshine Crowd. We don't lose. You can't lose the second part. And this is a game where we have to win. And I want it just more so for Grin. This is an amazing season for him. He got the. It would be an amazing way to cap off the regular season for him, really and truly.
Yeah, I'll touch on that a little bit further here before we get to James. So if you look at the standings right now, obviously Auburn 7-0 at the top of the SEC. At the top of the Big 12, you have Texas, Texas A&M, and Colorado, all kind of messing with each other at 3-1 in conference. Big 10, Ohio State 7-0. I believe they've actually clinched it this week. I'm pretty sure. And then you have the ACC, two 4-0 teams, two 6-1 teams. Miami, Florida State, North Carolina. Obviously, they're looking for that third spot, I believe it is. I'd have to check that article, which great articles, by the way, from Ryan this week and going over the playoff races. And we'll get into that because I actually wrote an article myself that I want to bring up later in the show. But Miami versus Florida State, it's going to be, and I think it's really the only conference yet. The Big 12, there's some stuff going on, but in terms of just a head-on-head matchup, Miami, Florida State, there's a reason it's 6:30. It's the game of the week, and we'll see, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going from there.
Actually, before we transition, I have one question. If you don't mind me hopping in,
Okay. Well, you can already opt in.
and this is straight for Tank.
Yes, sir.
So, not only is your matchup this week that's deciding the ACC, are y'all ready to face a defense that has given up the league least only 165 points throughout the season?
They have to. I will say this: they have to pay one of the highest rated offenses in the league. If you look at the amount of points we've scored this year, we put up points no matter who we've had. So you got to be ready to face the weapons. And I know my weapons. And Dave Axis is leading the league, and they have to prepare for Dave Axis. That's how I see it. They got to prepare for Dash Delano. They got to prepare for our guys. Sebastian Sapp is the tie. His tied for second this year in receiving in touchdowns in school history. Like we have the guys to beat these guys. And Pitts is, I mean, he's just a multi-talented athlete. I mean, he does everything for us. So like they have to prepare for us. They're a great team, give them that. But our offense is what my faith is in.
Beautiful answer.
So actually, I do want to touch on that. I'm curious. Miami. I'm not saying they aren't a good defense. They are a very, very good defense. They're literally the number one defense. But um, also of note, the ACC. I haven't done the math yet, but just eyeballing it, I think is the lowest scoring conference as well. And you can say that Miami's a part of that, of course. But in terms of points for, I think the ACC has the least points for. So that might be something
One
because
and two.
outside of Miami, the most points scored by any team in the ACC is Florida State at 282. So that could be a factor here too.
Yeah, I think for us it's more of a it's gonna be a battle. I mean both sides prepare really good. Yost, I give Yost. I mean you got to think this guy's a monster. Like you're gonna have to try to stop Bo Yost. Like that's the whole thing. So you got to have the guys to do it, and I have the faith in my guys that we can really get it done.
And
And
then if you stop Yost, then you have to stop the arm that Lisa Pink has, and she's been tearing it up
That the arm full of steroids. You bring that up. Because we're
allegedly.
gonna bring that up.
so yeah, we'll go from there. We'll actually come back to this because we're going to go over each game. I do want to bring James onto the show though. You have a rivalry week game as well. But James, yours is a little different. So Michigan State, I guess we're both part of that team, so I can say we instead of you.
Yeah.
Uh, Last season, rivalry week, I believe, was our first win. Was that right? When we took over down Illinois? I gotta check that now.
No, you didn't beat Illinois. You just beat Ohio State.
It was Ohio State, right? Okay. So, but last season, one, two, three, four, five, six, yeah. Right. Okay, so we beat Ohio State the week before, and then that week we did lose to Illinois in our first ever Michigan State rivalry week game. In a game where there was over 1,300 yards of offense, by the way, where both teams, uh, let's see, what did I have that game? Yeah, I was 5 touchdowns, 400 yards, plus a rushing touchdown. And then on the other side, they had a guy with 6 receptions for over 100 yards. It was one of the most, I don't remember the exact stat, but I think it was like one of the top 5 games of the year in terms of offensive yards produced in the CFSL.
Yeah,
Now, go
I
ahead, sorry.
defended. I said I prepped for Jet Sim or Jet for Sim. Yeah, for Jet more than I did you last year. Sorry.
Oh no, I mean, night and day difference between that and yeah, obviously you were on Illinois last year. Now
Yes.
you're on Michigan State. Michigan State had a much different year this year. We've won, a few games from then until now. Michigan State comes into this Thursday night rivalry week game 5-2, excuse me,
Five
looking to
and
be
two.
6-2. 3-1 in conference against a Penn State team fighting for their playoff lives. 3-4, 2-2. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's gonna be a very tough defense to go against, and hopefully we can figure it out. uh, Really, yeah, it's going to be a big game. It could go either way. I would call it a pick'em game this week, really. But um, yeah, it's just like if we can get our mind right and get around it, we should be fine.
And we've had the AD of Penn State on the show as well. Uh, Really, both Smith brothers. I think we've had both of them on the show, actually. Excuse me. But um, really, it's gonna be a great game. I think I told um, Drake. I don't know if I said the whole. I've talked to the whole coaching group of all the ADs that we have faced this year, and USC has a really great staff. Michigan has a great staff too. Penn State is the one school where I think we have the most, like, the smartest game planning AD. Like, I think out of any team, if I had to, if every team is 90 overall in our conference, which they're not obviously, and we had to face only the AD, I think Penn State would be maybe the toughest team we'd have to face, if you just evened out the talent. Now, obviously, Michigan State's gonna have a little bit of a talent advantage, I believe it is right now, and also Penn State, they've had an up and down season. They're coming in at 3-4, but I agree with you. I think it would be a pick'em game. He's a outstanding AD at Penn
Yes.
State, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right. So, welcome to the show, guys. Again, that was kind of it. I just wanted to intro back after the break. Obviously, we had another hurricane hit Florida, and apparently there's another one. I don't think this one's going to hit Florida. Let's check that out real quick. Because I'm kind of curious. Yeah, no, it's going away from Florida now. So that's better. But last few weeks have been kind of crazy. Thanks for the support, guys, and we'll go from there. I actually kind of mix this up on the agenda. If we're talking about games, we can just go right into it because I think we kind of as a group want to talk about it. And we have a little bit extra time. We did cut the chaos quiz this week just because we got a lot to talk about with the playoffs coming up. Um, so Miami, Florida State, we've gone over. Texas, Oklahoma. Let's do some picks here. I like that idea. So I'm gonna bring up my note-taking devices here. Good old notepad on the computer. Uh, and Tank and Dominic, you guys are aware of how this works. Uh, James, I'm gonna give you two games to start Monday: Miami, Florida State, Texas, Oklahoma. You listen to the show, so you know what's coming here. I want to know
Mhm.
who you guys want, and I want to know why. So we'll start with Miami, Florida State. I'll start with Tank. I already know who you're going to choose, but tell me why you think Florida State's going to win, and then Texas, Oklahoma as well.
I think okay, we'll do if we're gonna do both. I'm definitely gonna pick Florida State. You know, he's gonna go with the home team, but I think the amount of talent that we have, and people like what everybody's saying with the defenses and stuff like that. It's going to be a battle, but I think our offense is just we're just explosive, man. Like the more and more I watch this team, the more and more I've seen us become more and more explosive. So I definitely am ready for it. And with Texas and Oklahoma, it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a Red River shootout, and I'm gonna pick Oklahoma, man. It's hard to go against DT, and it's hard to go against Ryland, but I'm gonna pick Oklahoma.
I've been making fun of Ryan all week. I won't stop now.
Mm.
All right, Dominic, you're up next. Miami, Florida State, Texas, Oklahoma. Who you got?
Oh, well, so here's my bias being a commentator. I've had Miami twice that I've gotten to call them. I have not had the privilege to call a Florida State game. I have seen the excellence that Miami is working with, and they are firing on all cylinders at this point in the season. I think that's a fair assessment to make. But at the end of the day, rivalry week, stats don't matter, records don't matter. You go ahead and give me them Knowles and go ahead and tomahawk chop all the long week.
All
Now, when
righty.
it comes to Texas and Oklahoma, it's just straight to the point. How do you really stymie Himothy Deleste? You gonna give me Oklahoma, and it's not gonna be pretty.
Okay, so it's Oklahoma by a few scores or something like that.
17 points.
All right. I definitely think it's gonna be a little bit closer. We'll get to my picks in a minute. I'm not super surprised Oklahoma's the favorite here, but I'll remind the group Texas has a better record so far. Oh no, yeah, better conference record, 3-1, 2-2. They're both 5-2. But interesting. Okay, I'll move on to James. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Miami over Florida State, and only just because of the defense. I think it could be a shootout, but I think Miami might be able to make a few more stops. Um, I mean, I don't see as many of those games as I do the others, but yeah, that's that. And then I'm gonna go Texas Oklahoma over Oklahoma because
All right.
Oklahoma's just Texas has got the offense to put the points on the board with them.
All right. So we got Florida. So you're going against the group.
Yeah.
It's just 2 weeks or two podcasts ago. I won't say 2 weeks ago. I think it was 3 weeks ago. We had everyone basically take the same team as guests, so it made my job a little bit harder. But we start with 2-1 for Florida State and 2-1 for Oklahoma. I'm gonna take. Ooh, okay. So in the content writers pick 'em, I chose Florida State earlier in the weekend. I'm gonna stick with that. Here's the thing. I think Miami absolutely can win this game. In fact, as we've seen and we've talked about, a very complete team, both on offense and defense. Florida State, I just think throughout the year have very much been about really not, it used to be, I think last season very much it was about the quarterback. And Florida State has a great quarterback, Wookie. He's probably listening. He's like, oh, what do you guys know? Like he is a great quarterback.
Best
He can
quarterback
have a
in the
great
league.
team. Yeah, Zeus Clayton absolutely can win a game for you. but he's not. You're going to need to do more than that. And if this was last year's Florida State team, I probably would have chosen Miami because I think last year they relied on Zeus a little bit too much. I think this team's a lot more balanced. We mentioned Dave Axis earlier. He's a senior in his final home game in the regular season. I think Florida State has the talent that they need. And hey, Tank Monday, another senior on that team, might shout him out. I think this
Yeah.
defense is able to compete with Miami as well. My choice is Florida State. Texas, Oklahoma, I had a hard time with. I took Oklahoma in the pick'em as well, and I'm going to keep it with that choice. I think Texas still is not, you know, I don't know. Texas definitely has proven they can win with their new quarterback, but I think Oklahoma. I said it actually the last time we did, I think 2 weeks ago in the last podcast, that Oklahoma's quarterback, Timothy, or excuse me, Timothy, you got me now. Go with that.
Mhm.
Himateo del Este.
Acknowledge it.
Yeah, he is. That was actually one of the only few games I've called this year. I'm retired now, but like one of the games that I did end up stepping in and calling for the CFSL was that Oklahoma Oregon game, and Oklahoma was rocking with that player. Dual way threat. I think at this point he's almost a shoo-in for freshman of the year. But very, very hard to bet against him, and hard to bet against maybe the most sim smart 80 in the CFSL. I'll say that. So DT Hall, take your team 3-1 for Florida State, 3-1 for Oklahoma. We'll move on. The Iron Bowl. Well, I'll get this one out of the way real quick. We have the Iron Bowl and the Ohio State Michigan, the game. Yeah, Dominic, go ahead because I think I know what your two choices are going to be.
Yeah, I'll start off with the Ohio State and Michigan little brother rivalry that likes to claim that they're the end all be all rivalry. I really do like both teams. Cole, do me a favor. Who is I haven't looked at the lines or anything. Who is the projected favorite for this game?
So they don't release the lines usually until Monday, or in this case Tuesday. Auburn and Ohio State are going to be the favorites on this one. Auburn should be, I would guess, they won't be 10-point favorites. I think Auburn will be like a 6 or 7.
Okay, but so Ohio State is listed as is pretty much the favorite
Ohio
for this game.
State, I
I would
would
have them favored, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
it would be like a 15 or 18-point favorite at this
Cool.
point.
Well, on that note, I don't normally, you know that I'll take the smart, almost guaranteed bet. That is not this case. Go ahead and give me the big M to take care of Ohio State.
All
I'm
right.
never gonna pick for Ohio State, even though I'm pretty sure I picked Ohio State last time I was on. But we're not gonna research that deep into it. Give me
Insert
Michigan on
clip
that one.
of you pick. No, I'm not gonna go look it up. Insert pick a clip of you
Now
picking.
the Iron Bowl. Normally you're rocked up and you're ready to go when it comes down to the Iron Bowl. To me, and I'm putting it on blast. You can call this bulletin board material. Say what you want. This to me is a glorified bye week. When you are coming into this game rocking an offense that is as lethal as a Josh Mizikar, a Thomas Scally, you've got a Ricky Morningstar as a backup tight end. You have a Jay Duke. You've got an emerging landslide. You have a phenom in Devin Zero. You've got some cat named Domenik Barfield who also plays tight end. That offense is going to give anybody fits, no matter who it is. They have been battle tested all season. They have been in big games. They are, in the last 2 years, they've not lost a in-season game. I don't see it continuing at all. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game, and there's no disrespect to Ware over at Alabama. Ware absolutely runs
There's
a
a
great
little
program.
bit of disrespect when you call them
All of the
glorified
disrespect.
by-
No, it's all
there's
of the
yeah.
disrespect.
There's no disrespect whatsoever.
There's a little bit of disrespect. And that's
weird.
fine because Ware's
Where's
been on
Ware?
Auburn for the last 4. Like, yeah, he deserves a
let
little
me
bit
let
of
me
it,
let me
but
take the gloves off. No, it's actually with every little bit of vitriol and disrespect that I say this proudly. Auburn puts up 35 plus on Bama. We are gonna sniff the mercy. It's not gonna be pretty, and Auburn is coasting beautifully going into playoffs.
well, we'll talk about the playoffs in a second. Not too surprised by those two picks. Well, I guess Michigan's a bit of a surprise. I'll talk to the Michigan State guy next. Who you got, James?
I've got Auburn over Alabama. I think it could be a lopsided game, but Alabama may give them a game. And I want to go Michigan State or Michigan because I don't see them going. Did they haven't got a win yet, have they? They still
Nope,
winless.
nope. That's thanks to us. They do not have a win yet.
Yeah. So it's hard to say they're going to go regular season 0-8, but I'm going to go Ohio State there. Just they're just too complete of a team.
All right. And then last but not least, Tank. Who you got?
Um, as a former alum and a teammate of Umbreon and under Cole's wonderful guidance at Auburn, War Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're going to take Auburn, and I hope it's ugly. I really just it's my senior year, so just to avenge the years like that I had there that we were got beat up, just beat them by like 50. Mercy them, please. Like it would do nothing better for my senior year for them to get mercy. It would be so funny. I'd laugh really and truly, but on to the Ohio State game. Ohio Assured is my guy. I like Michigan. But I've watched this Ohio State team. Last year we played them and they gave us. I mean, we beat them, but I mean they gave us a tough time. And I watched Jalen Tyree turn into a better quarterback over the years. Literally last season to this season, it's almost night and day how better his decision making has gotten. So I'm gonna take Ohio State.
All right. So two for Ohio State, one for Michigan, and no surprise, the three guests all choose teams. The favorite in the Iron Bowl, Auburn. I mean, all right. This one's gonna be pretty easy for me as well. I'm gonna choose Auburn for both obvious personal and just obvious reasons. Until Justin Duke loses a game at Auburn, I'm a regular season game at least. I'm not picking against him, but I do at least want to, for a moment, give Alabama a little bit of props here and just talk about how they could win this game. Even though I will choose Auburn here. Last 2 weeks, they play Florida. Obviously, they lose that one, and then they get by Georgia. This Alabama team is very good at playing close games. Of those close games, with the obvious exception of that Florida loss last week, they were able to just compete. And one of the big things is that their quarterback is not Justin or Jay Duke, excuse me. Johnny Ray Davis is a good sophomore quarterback. He's gonna have to play better, I think, than he did last week to get a win here. Connor Keene had a really, really good game. I wrote about him in the SEC article that's going to come out probably by the time you're listening to this. Their offense definitely has the ability to score 40 plus. They're going to have to win this, and I think it's going to come down to the defense. I think Alabama's defense, if they can get some more TFLs, if they can make the quarterback uncomfortable, which you have to do when you have a pass-heavy offense like Auburn, I think that is their key to winning. However, I do think Auburn wins. I don't think it's. I'm not going to be so gung ho. I think Auburn wins this one by maybe 7, 10 points. I'm going to say a 10-point Auburn win on this one, just because maybe Alabama has traumatized me one too many times to confidently say they're going to mercy them. Ohio State, Michigan. This one seems pretty open and shut as well. There is some temptation because there is history here. I believe it was season 14 or 15 where Michigan was, I think, like 6-2. I think it was actually maybe Ike's first season, so maybe in season 16, where Michigan was like 6-2, destroying the world, and Ohio State was having a terrible season. I think they had one win all year before that game, and then Ohio State would eventually beat Michigan in one of the best games in that series of all time. There is some parallel here now with the roles reversed. Obviously, Michigan struggling this season, and Ohio State with just having a great season. Um, but after especially we played them, James, I think Ohio State's going to be a little bit too much for them. That offense is, and no offense to Auburn here, probably the best offense in the league right now. Um, so I'm going to take Ohio State 3-1, and Michigan might actually just go 0-8, and that's it sucks for them because I think they are a much better team than 0-8. And I said that as well in our game thread on Twitch, but that's how the cards fall sometimes. Big Ten, toughest conference in the country. Thank you very much. Wednesday, Georgia, Florida, from Jacksonville, which should be not only one of the most important games of the week for playoff seeding, one of the most fun games of the week on the schedule. Georgia coming off a mercy and Florida coming off an upset win over Alabama. North Carolina, Notre Dame on YouTube. West Virginia at Colorado on Twitch. And what is it? The Battle for the John Denver Trophy? I gotta look up what the name of that rivalry is, but a lot of fun on that one.
Good
I
call.
believe that's correct.
Yep. And then USC at Oregon to cap off the day. Let's see. We had Tank and Dominic go. Excuse me. James, your turn. I'm going to have you go first. Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Notre Dame, West Virginia, Colorado, and then USC, Oregon. Who you got?
Georgia over Florida should be a good game. Um, North Carolina over Notre Dame could be a little lopsided. Um, I really want to pick West Virginia, but I'm going to go Colorado and USC.
Alrighty. Yeah, there's not too much to talk about here, except for obviously the Georgia Florida game's going to be a lot to talk about. Obviously, Notre Dame got mercied last week, and West Virginia and Oregon probably will be heavy underdogs. But Tink, I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Who you got?
I'm gonna. It's really this is kind of a day where you kind of pick the heavies. I'm gonna pick. I think as a person that lost to Florida, right? That team is really good, and I don't think people really know how good that team is. And if you watch that team play, that team is very, very, very sneaky good. And the thing is, they can get hot, and they'll get hot, and they'll score a lot of points very fast. So that's a game where Georgia has to have control early and hold control. But I think they do, and I'll take Georgia. North Carolina should whip Notre Dame. If they don't, I'm gonna laugh. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be funny. Um, West Virginia's ooh. I'm gonna pick Colorado. They've had a great season this year, and then USC and Oregon. As much as I want this to be the upset for trips this season, I just don't see it happening. I'm gonna pick USC.
Alrighty. Well, yeah, so two picks for Georgia, UNC, Colorado, and USC. We're gonna have three picks for all those teams. Or Dominic, you got something else up your sleeve?
So, as somebody who has played both Georgia and Florida this season, we absolutely dismantled Georgia, who I just called Thursday night mercying Tennessee in one of the most vile fashions. Florida took us to the ropes. They are, just like Tank said, Florida is sneaky good. When they get hot, they're a hot hand to deal with. But if they cool off, it feels like everything can go wrong. I'm taking Florida just because, okay, sure, we just saw Georgia just mercy Tennessee, but it's Tennessee. It's not like you're out here mercying,
Wait,
USC.
We
No, go
can't
ahead.
just
Come on.
let
Well,
you get
so
away with
no, no, no.
it.
I do actually want to bring that up because Tennessee week one had that big upset win. This is definitely a different Tennessee that we saw that obviously got mercied. And you never want to talk about that in a negative light, but um, I think this team has definitely deserved the right to mercy them. And go ahead, Dominic. But I
I'm
definitely see what you're saying. I want to step in. I want to say, yeah,
No,
this
that's completely
Tennessee
fine.
team
Said
is
I
different.
said
It's worth mentioning, but
I'm sticking to my guns. I am taking Florida. I do not have a lot of shot really built up for Georgia to get this done. I think Florida is gonna find a way to get this done in Jacksonville. No questions asked. North Carolina is gonna be that game is not gonna be complete. Is not gonna be completed as the unofficial broadcasting voice of Notre Dame this season. I've called all but one game up till this week, and unfortunately, I'm not calling Notre Dame again to end the season. No, North Carolina's going to absolutely get that done. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I really would love to say that Notre Dame finds something, but they're too busy living and dying by Olin Norris to really try to let that offense breathe and really pass it around. I think North Carolina's going to pull away quickly. It's just going to be trying to catch up, and it's not going to happen. Give me North Carolina and a little bit of a runaway there. West Virginia, Colorado. I'm going to take Colorado. I'm going to agree that I think Colorado is just going to be too aggressive to really try to crawl back in. And actually, I do think Trips is going to get the upset here. And just because I'm a little bit petty over the Natty, go ahead and give me Oregon this week.
hey, pettiness is a completely valid reason to choose a team, and USC has lost in an upset before this season. Not outside the realm of possibility, so I'll give it to you, Dominic. So from the guests, Georgia 2-1, UNC 3-0, Colorado 3-0, USC 2-1. Now it's my turn. We've talked about how underrated Florida is so many times on this show. I don't think they're actually that underrated anymore. They're technically third in the conference now. They're probably going to stick at third, but um, yeah, I can't see. Well, I mean, Georgia's playoff live is on the line. I'll give them that. I think this is going to be a very close game. It's going to be probably the closest game of the week, and I would say maybe the most fun game of the week. But Florida's my choice. I think, it's very similar to what I said about the the other Smith 80 from Penn State. I think both the Smith brothers know what they're doing. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And Florida, they probably make the playoffs. I think they make the playoffs whether they win or lose this game, but they obviously secure the automatic in it's called the automatic bid. That's what I'm looking for. With a win here, and they are very much, I think, going to be a tough matchup in the first round. North Carolina, Notre Dame. I am going to join the rest of the group in saying that I think North Carolina is going to be heavily favored. They go into Notre Dame and they win. I do think it is an mercy. I think Notre Dame shows some fight in their last game of the season. I don't ever want to choose a mercy anyway on somebody, but I think North Carolina wins this one pretty handedly. West Virginia at Colorado. I really wanted. Here's my position on it. I think West Virginia is another team that's better than 0-7. Um, I really wanted to choose them for this, but Colorado, if they didn't have the conference, if Colorado, if they don't win, they might not win the Big 12. So I think they have a lot to play for here. And I think if they win, I'd have to look at the article again, but I don't think they just win the Big 12 if they win this game. But I know they have to win this game to win the Big 12. So I think Colorado's going to bring everything they got. I will take them, but I think West Virginia shows some fight. And yes, yeah, I think Tank just jumped off and jumped back on. He was having some audio issues. He'll be right back. Um, and then finally, USC, Oregon. I mean, there's a part of me that really wants to choose Oregon here, and here's why. Oregon's rushing offense is their strength, and USC, both in our upset win and also just in general, has at times struggled against the run. But I can't in good conscience not choose them. I think USC is going to win this game. I think Oregon, very, very good team as well. Actually, I think I said it when we played them this week. If Oregon was in the Big 12, they'd be 500, and I stand by that. I think they would. Um, but for now, they will have to go 0-8 and come back next season stronger. So for Wednesday night tie game, UNC 4-0, Colorado 4-0, USC 3-1. Let's see if we can get Tank back in the show here. 1 second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go, Tank. You there?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Cool. All right. So we just finished Wednesday again, tied for Florida, Georgia, UNC 4-0, Colorado 4-0, USC 3-1. Tank, you know what? I'll give it to you first here for Thursday night. We got some fun games. Penn State at Michigan State, Virginia Tech at Clemson, Texas A&M at LSU to finish out the week as well with Kentucky at Tennessee. Who do you got, buddy?
I'm going definitely. I got to pick you guys at Michigan State. It's gonna be a close game, but I do think you guys pull it out. You have a lot of weapons. You kind of have the same type of weapons like we do. So I think if you play the same type of game, you can definitely beat them, and but it's still gonna be close. Virginia Tech at Clemson is fun, being the young teams playing each other. In the battle for the ACC, I think a lot of people don't know. I think if Virginia Tech loses, it's a weird way. Somebody loses or wins or something, they tie out or some weird way, something stupid. But I think I want to pick Clemson. I do want to pick Clemson. I am going to pick Clemson. Um, I just think that they're going to this is a home game for them, and I think they're going to take it very, very serious and throw those punches. They took us all the way to the wire. I mean, we literally had to score a touchdown with 40 something seconds left to win that game. So I've seen both these teams, but Virginia Tech felt a little bit like we handled them a little bit more, even though it was a crazy game of turnovers and stuff. But I still feel like we're in more control than we were with at Clemson.
Real quick, I will butt in, by the way,
Okay.
that tying scenario you're talking about, Tank. what would have to happen is North Carolina would have to lose to Notre Dame, and then I think it's Virginia Tech or Clemson win. They could try to get in that third spot based on the tiebreakers. Unfortunately, I don't think Notre Dame's going to beat North Carolina for that scenario, but
No.
fun to talk about. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it was like it was something I had. I was like, I read it. It was just like it's something like that.
Yeah, good to bring up, but Notre Dame would have to beat North Carolina for that to happen.
Yeah. With A&M and LSU, A&M coming off of these big wins this season. Definitely think that they have the talent. LSU's kind of, I wouldn't say disappointed, but they haven't had the season that I think some of us were expecting. So I'm gonna pick Texas A&M, and then with Kentucky and Tennessee, I'm picking Kentucky. Like like Umbriel said, it's Tennessee.
Okay, sounds good. James, you're playing on Thursday. I'll give you the next choice up here. Four great games. Who do you got?
I'd Michigan State over Penn State. Should be a good game, close game. Hopefully, we can come out on top. uh, I'm gonna go Clemson over Virginia Tech because they just seem to be playing better every week. Uh, Texas A&M LSU is kind of a. I'm gonna go Texas A&M, but LSU if they could because they got two good running backs. If they could use them well, right? They should. They should be able to beat anybody. But Texas A&M should come out of that one. And Kentucky ought to handle Tennessee pretty well, I would think.
Yeah, the annual tradition of Kentucky getting Tennessee in their bye week, while Alabama and Auburn fight to the death. And no offense to Tennessee on that one, but Kentucky definitely is going to. Well, we'll see. Kentucky's already in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they're in. So
Mhm.
I don't know what they're going to show against Tennessee. Maybe Tennessee has like if Kentucky doesn't put their best settings forth and they're trying to save up for the playoffs, maybe Tennessee can surprise them. They definitely are capable. But it's a very different team than Week One, as we were talking about earlier. Um, okay, one last person for the last four games of the week. Dominic, who you got?
Man, it's a good day to be a Penn State fan, ain't it? Said nobody ever. Shockley's gonna have an absolute just statement game. Michigan State's gonna handle Penn State. It's gonna be not pretty. Virginia Tech and Clemson. I mean, I hate to call it just as bluntly as it is. It's the battle of the 2-5 versus the 1-6. Absolute love for Clemson AD Wetzel, the former teammate. Love him. Big ups to him. I think Virginia Tech, even though they're on the road, I think they're going to find a way to get it done. And Clemson's going to end the season 1-7. Texas A&M and LSU. I mean, it to me, it still just feels weird having A&M and LSU in the Big 12, so I don't really have enough of a scouting report for them. But I think Texas A&M's going to get it done on the road in Death Valley. And then Kentucky at Tennessee. Kentucky's already got their playoffs already pretty much locked up. They're going to be just preparing and getting ready for week one of the playoffs. Go ahead and give me Kentucky.
So, yeah, I guess it's my turn to pick now. I'll even add on to the end of that. Um, I do think there is something to be said. Not like Devin Davis is not the kind of guy that's going to let Tennessee surprise him. But what a story that would be if Tennessee is having, this rough end of the season and they go out and beat Kentucky in week 8 when nobody's
Imagine.
expecting them to at the end of Thursday night of Rivalry week. So I will at least give them that I think that there is some merit to saying, hey, maybe Tennessee can pull something off here. Um, but yeah, we'll go through it. I hate to pick Michigan State and make it 4-0 against Penn State because I think this could be a lot closer than a 4-0 by the panel here would indicate. But I mean, pretty sure Drake would bench me if I didn't pick Michigan State here. So Michigan State all the way. We've had a great season, and Penn State's a good team too. I think they're deserving of a vote in spot, but they're not going to steal our spot. Clemson and Virginia Tech. I really want to pick Virginia Tech here. I think there is some great things about that team. I think they've really, as the season's gone on, done well. And Clemson, they've done better too, to be granted, but Clemson also has had some stinkers this season too. I will take Clemson though. They're at home. They got a lot to play for, and depending on how the week runs out, that could be a vote-in spot that Virginia Tech's playing for too. But I will take Clemson. Texas A&M, LSU. I'm very surprised that no one took LSU. It feels like a team that is a trendy upset pick. In fact, I might have actually taken LSU as the upset. I don't remember if I did. I'd have to check when Ryan releases it. I did it on Friday. I don't remember who I chose on this one. But Both teams are very good. A&M kicked our butt earlier in the season, so I'll give them the respect they deserve. I'll take them as well, giving them 4-0 over LSU. Though I think this game could easily be one like earlier in the season where a bunch of us take a 4-0 on a team and then we get our asses kicked in the predictions. And then Kentucky, Tennessee. I think this is closer. A lot of people want to call it a mercy. I don't think this is going to be a mercy. I think Tennessee has some fight left in them. I think both Notre Dame and Tennessee do not get mercied again this week. I think Kentucky does win this handily, but 4-0 for Kentucky over Tennessee. And so I'll go over it one more time for those just tuning in somehow at the 45-minute mark. Florida State 3-1 over Florida. Oklahoma 3-1 over Texas in the Cotton Bowl. Auburn 4-0 in the Iron Bowl over Alabama. Ohio State 3-1 over Michigan. Our only tie of the week, a 2-2 tie from the panel, Georgia versus Florida. Should be an awesome game in Jacksonville on Wednesday. North Carolina 4-0 over Notre Dame. Colorado 4-0 over West Virginia. USC 3-1 over Oregon. We had one pick for Oregon this week to get out of 0-8 territory or 0-8 danger. Michigan State 4-0 picked over Penn State, though it should be noted there's two Michigan State guys here, so maybe that's part of that. Clemson 3-1 over Virginia Tech, and then to end the week, both A&M and Kentucky picked 4-0 over LSU and Tennessee, respectively. That's all she wrote for the predictions. And thanks for some great predictions, guys. I think this is gonna be great just to talk about. So I'm gonna actually take a screenshot here, and I purposely waited until later in the show because we're gonna talk about this now as we get towards the playoffs. What I did for my SEC blog, which should be either out tomorrow, like if you're listening to this on Sunday night, you will see this in the article, or it will be out by the time you're listening to this, and you can go read it right now. So I'm going to post this in our group chat for this podcast, number 13. And it's going to be not even my predictions, just doing the calculations based on who is favored. So I didn't use my picks for this week. I just said who is favored, what would that mean, and I went off Ryan's article for the playoffs. And I'm going to read them out for the audience. You guys are looking at them for the first time in the group chat. So I put Auburn as the number 1 seed, Ohio State number 2, Texas would be the number 3 seed, and Florida State as the champions. If they beat Miami, would be the champions of the ACC at number 4. Kentucky at number 5, Miami at number 6, number 7 Michigan State, and then number 8 would be Colorado as those 4 second place teams. As you guys know, the top 8 teams get to choose the bottom 8 teams of who they want. So Auburn will get 8 teams to choose from. I actually wrote in the article, I think Auburn has some fun reasons to choose USC, but I don't think they do it. Though maybe they do. You never know. Here are the matchups that I came up with based on who I think gets voted in, and basically just I took whoever was favored this week, and I said if they win, what happens here. So no upsets are put into this. Apologies if your team is not listed. But for the audience, number 1 Auburn versus number 16 Virginia Tech, number 2 Ohio State versus number 15 Florida, number 3 Texas versus number 14 Alabama, number 4 Florida State versus number 13 North Carolina, number 5 Kentucky versus number 12 Texas A&M, number 6 Miami versus number 11 Penn State, number 7 Michigan State, number 7 versus number 10 USC, and then it would be number 8 Colorado versus number 9 Oklahoma, making DT Hall the last choice of those 8 teams. Of those 8 matchups, I kind of want to hear from you guys. Which matchup of these potential first-round games do you guys think would be the most entertaining to watch, and do you have any comments on them as well? We'll start with Tank, because that Florida State North Carolina one kind of popped out to me when I wrote it.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I think if we were gonna run it back with any of the teams, I feel like it'd be Penn State. That's just me. I don't know. I don't know what Grant would want, but I do think that the matchup that did catch my eye is Kentucky at Texas A&M. You just never know. I think you never know because that Kentucky team can really just turn it up. And A&M has been very good, but I think that Kentucky would definitely and A&M could just sneak up and beat Kentucky. So that's the one matchup I feel like there's a very, very questionable one.
So you're on the coaching staff for Florida State, so there is a little bit of you have more knowledge than I do. I chose North Carolina for Florida State because of the recent win. Obviously, they did beat Penn State earlier in the year as well. But yeah, of those five teams, we're saying you're in Grin's shoes, Tank. Your choices are Oklahoma, USC, Penn State, A&M, and North Carolina. You think you would take Penn State to play instead of North Carolina?
I would take Penn State. I do like that North Carolina team, but that North Carolina team gave it was it was a doozy of a game. We did have to score 42 unanswered. The Penn State game was a little bit better, I think, in my opinion. Where offensively we looked a little bit cleaner and sharper.
Sounds good. Okay, I mean, this is why we have the guests on the show to get their opinions on it. I guess Grin will have the final decision on it, but should be fun. All right, I'm gonna move on to Auburn here because you're gonna have 8 teams to pick. I chose Virginia Tech for you guys. I know there is some history with USC. It would be very funny for Justin to take USC as that first round matchup just to get it out of the way. But Dominic, I put you guys with Virginia Tech. Talk to me a little bit about that matchup. Who you guys would choose in your favorite matchups of those 8 potential ones?
Well, like Justin is half a psychopath. I could really see him wanting to do USC just to get that monkey off his back. We, the Auburn delegation, will sack him if he thinks he's going to get away with that call. Absolutely not. Uh, I mean, of these teams, I mean, we've played Florida. We're gonna blank Bama, and that's really the only of the bottom 8 that we've had any opportunity to. Man, I Virginia Tech is the safe bet, and it really does give us more of a chance to really go ahead and get things done, and then keep an eye on everybody else. But if it's me personally, I really want Oklahoma, which is more
Whoa.
diabolical than wanting to itch that scratch of USC. But I really think that at the end of the day, I think Beard will be smart and pick Virginia Tech if this is what the bottom 8 would look like, and I think it's going to be another day in the office that week. But to really piggyback off Tank, that Kentucky and A&M game, that right there is really like, ooh, that would be my vote for game of the week to really get in and go and watch. I really like a lot of these matchups that you've got put together, Cole. But I don't know. I don't know about giving us USC just to scratch that itch. That could really be a very incredible, really incredible kind of put together. I just think it would end up. I think it ended up biting us in the ass again. So I don't know if that's the smartest play in the book.
Well, yeah, the idea of taking DT Hall, like actually physically choosing him, and I'll get to this with the Michigan State pick, but the idea of actually choosing Oklahoma to play seems like career suicide. Like, you want to play the guy that has 10 PS5, PS3s or whatever, and does nothing but sim and is the best simmer possibly in the entire league, like my pick.
Well,
No
to
thanks.
counterpoint that, yes, the most well prepared and most like well simmed. How much of an accolade would that be to say we wanted the best simmer, we let him prepare, and still took him out? That's a nice little trophy to put up there on the way to getting back to the
But
natty.
it's still one win. It doesn't matter if you're playing number 9 Oklahoma or number 16 Virginia Tech in this scenario. You're still in the second round either way. It's one thing if it'd be like rivalry week or something like that, but I think no. I mean, Justin is going to hear this, the AD of Auburn. He's going to take USC or Oklahoma just to spite us, but that's not who I would pick. I don't think it's the right
If
idea.
if if that does end up happening, please know who to look at, and if things go south, we know who to blame as I'm being thrown out the locker for my senior year.
I think Oklahoma choosing Oklahoma is asking for trouble. Like USC, at least there's a reason to do it. I think choosing Oklahoma at all is asking for trouble.
Oh no, no,
This
no!
is
Choosing
ridiculous.
Oklahoma is absolutely like that. That's picking suicide. That's just my like hey, if you want to get weird, go get weird. But I do think that Beard would want the first round easy go and then
Or
play where it
easier,
lands
yeah.
from there.
Yeah, no, because here's the thing. I chose Virginia Tech for Auburn, and I thought about both Alabama or Florida. Actually, there is precedent. We have had Auburn play Alabama in the Iron Bowl, and then they ended up facing each other in the first round of the playoffs the next week. That has happened. The reason I didn't, at least for when I was projecting this, is because I think there also is something to be said of not playing a guy that's already simmed for you once this season before, unless you feel like you have a good handle on the situation. Like when I was at Auburn, our one playoff win when I was at Auburn was we played North Carolina, and then we got North Carolina again in the first round of playoffs, and we beat them. Um, there was something to be said though that North Carolina got an extra week of prep, and that second game was much closer, I believe. Um, so yeah, I put Auburn versus Virginia Tech here, but I could see them taking Florida Alabama. That absolutely in this scenario could happen. And if it was Auburn versus Alabama again, it would be kind of fun. But for now, at least, that's what I thought. One more guy to ask: Michigan State. James, Michigan State versus USC. So the last two choices, when going through this, I had USC or Oklahoma for Michigan State. I chose USC just basically because we beat them once before, but neither of those two teams are good matchups for you. If you're in this position, you got USC or Oklahoma, and you're actually on the coaching staff while I am not. Who you taking?
Yeah, it's rough. Your USC pick would probably be because we got history and uh, we know it's a known opponent. Like we've not played Oklahoma, we don't know what we would be getting. So, but yeah, it'd be rough either way because like you were talking about DT being the super simmer, and then USC took us to the wire. I mean, like overtime, quarter of an inch, a quarter of a yard win. So
Yeah.
those would both be rough. Would both be rough. But yeah, at least we'd have the known unknown with USC to where Oklahoma would be the unknown unknown.
I think there is something to be said of choosing Oklahoma here just because USC nearly killed us, and they are a very, very good team. And Oklahoma, I think there is some matchups that we would do good, especially they're a very run heavy team. Not a very run heavy team, but they're a very more balanced team versus our team, which is a little bit better against the run, I think. But yeah, I chose USC here. Just this was a SEC focused article anyway. I was just going through it, but I thought I would bring it
Well,
up.
and we also have history with USC with all our Illinois
Yeah,
teammates.
that's true.
So that's who I'd pick just because, like I say, they have a lot of dynamic players, but that you know, yeah, that's who I'd go. It's the known unknown kind of thing. So
Yeah, and of course this projection again doesn't account for any upsets. So say like Miami upsets Florida State, then Miami's the number 4 team and they get to choose. Or Clemson upsets Virginia Tech, then maybe it's Clemson as that number 6 team. Or Florida beat or no, Florida would be. Uh, Actually no. What if Georgia does beat Florida and comes in as the number? I don't know. So there's a bunch of unknowns here. That's not like I'm not
yeah,
saying this is going to be the 16 teams. Um, and I think Florida actually, I'll point that out. Like they got chosen here as number 15, but I think Florida could be a lot higher on that list. As for what my favorite games are, I think Michigan State USC, if that happens again, it's gonna be awesome. Like it's just gonna be the maybe the best game of the first round, just because of how crazy that first game was this season. Colorado Oklahoma also could be a very fun one, and I'll join the group in saying Kentucky Texas A&M would be a lot of fun in the playoffs too. Um, but we'll see. And we'll move on here. Last kind of thing to talk about before we get into the conclusion of this podcast. Um, Offensive, defensive player of the week, all-purpose player of the week, and game of the week. Some of these were pretty easy to decide. Some of them were not. So, offensive player of the week, we have A&M quarterback Owen Dart, Georgia halfback General Riley, quarterback of LSU Sean Keohane. Keohane? I always mess that up when I'm on the broadcast calling his games. LSU wide receiver Nasir Pope, and Miami halfback Bo Yost. I think we were talking about it before the podcast. Does anyone here have a choice? Did anyone here vote? We know who's going to win. Did anyone here not vote for Bo Yost?
I didn't because I was a hater.
That's fair. Okay, just to make sure.
That was just because I'm just pure hate.
So pretty simple. I voted for Bo Yost as well. I think. I mean, Nasir Pope had 4 touchdowns on 8 catches. I feel like that at least needs to be shouted out, even if
yeah,
he's not going to win the
that's who
award.
I voted for. 4 touchdowns is a thing, especially
That is special. That is insane. I had to read that stat line. I voted for Owen Dart just because of the Texas thing, but that is an insane stat line. Like 8 receptions and 4 touchdowns. That is crazy.
So for me, yeah, I was kind of between those two. I think part of it is, well, Miami mercies Notre Dame, and whenever a team mercies somebody, I said this before the podcast as well, is that I kind of don't like choosing the people who are on teams that mercy other teams because I feel like, by definition, in a mercy, you're going to get a lot of counting stats. But Boyo's, no question, nearly 300 yards on the ground, 3 rushing touchdowns, 55-0 win. He's going to win this award, and I did vote for him. We'll go on to the Defensive Player of the Week, a little bit more competitive on that one. You got Auburn cornerback Chewy Baca, USC linebacker Derek Davis, Alabama defensive end Garfield Jenkins, U.S. presidential sounding name there, pretty nice. A&M free safety Daniel Reed, Colorado linebacker Hannibal Rector, and Michigan State, safety Pierre Eldridge. I chose for my guy, and I'm going to guess, Dominic, you chose your guy?
Not a bit of hesitation.
Yep. But if I had to guess, who do you guys think wins this? Because this one's a little bit closer. And I'll just ask the group that too. I don't know if anyone has a choice. Like, is Wrecker going to win over Eldridge? What do you guys think?
I mean, honestly, I know my pick's completely biased just because, hey, I'm gonna give it to my boy Chewy.
I
Honestly,
think
Wrecker's
Rector
stat
probably
line
will win it
is crazy.
because of this how long his stat line is. Now Reed had a really good game with the 2 interceptions and 1 touchdown, but he only had 3 tackles. So 9 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, a sack, interception, and a forced fumble, and a win. So I mean that's a crazy stat line.
So I think you guys both kind of talked over each other on that one. That's my bad because I forgot that Tank can't hear um, Dominic right now. But you guys both chose Wrecker. Am I right on that?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I think he could probably win it. I chose Pierre Eldridge. James, I'm going to assume you chose your teammate as well.
Yes, he made a lot of plays when the game. There, I think I'm back.
Yep. Yeah, you're good.
I went with Eldridge because when that game was still in the balance, our game was still in the balance. He was making a lot of big plays.
Yeah, very good performance from him. Actually, Michigan State, I believe, had their first ever guy win one of these awards when they had the all-purpose player of the week last week.
Yeah, I don't return kickoffs, so I never had a chance to win.
Yeah, yeah. Even pull it up here.
Yeah, it was Shockley last week.
Yeah, Shockley and all that. Who's the winners last week? I kind of want to pull it up now. I'm trying to. There we go. Yeah, Shockley last week, and then it was Bryce Frey. I can't pronounce any names today. And then Jalen Tyree for Ohio State was last week. All-purpose player of the week, wide receiver Lamandon Lloyd of Kentucky, USC halfback Sky Mills, Oklahoma halfback DJ Yost, Michigan safety Ryan Downey, and then Oregon cornerback Theo Marcos. Before we get into this one, I want to shout out Ryan Downey, who had one of the most dominant playoff games I've ever called. Um, he could win it this week, but I have a feeling Lloyd might win it again. Anyone here? Let's see. Tank, who'd you vote for? Oh,
No bad. Give me 1 second. My bad. My bad.
no, 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 you're good.
I was looking at it
Yeah,
again.
we'll start with
I had
Dominic.
to
Go
look.
ahead.
I was looking at it again. Um.
Oh no. Okay. Never mind. Never mind. Okay. You good?
Yeah, I got you. Yep. I'm gonna go with DJ Yo's. I think that was. I mean, that's just an all around great game. Then you look at it, it's a really good game. You don't really. I mean, the limit. I think Lloyd will probably win it, but Yost had a really good game.
My only thing I'll butt in there is, yeah, he had an all-around game, but he only had one catch for 1 yard, which
Yeah,
also
which is crazy.
shout
Which
out to
is
Frosty for putting that in there. But yeah, good game for him. Dominic, go ahead.
I'm actually the bad guy of this group. I voted Theo Marcos. I really thought that Theo absolutely just had a dominant performance, albeit in a loss. Yosh, also did have a really complete game, and so did Lamanda and Lloyd. But I really liked what Theo Marcos did, and he caught my vote personally.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning that all five of the guys that were nominated this week for All-Purpose Player of the Week lost. That's a I don't think I've actually ever seen that before. Shout out to Frosty on that one. Um, but yeah, I ended up choosing a guy who had a great game in that loss to believe who they lose to again. It was Auburn, yeah. So James, who do you take?
I went with DJ Yost. Yes, because I don't know, just they it did their job carrying the ball, and outside of that, did some kick returns and made a catch. So yeah, this may not have been the most dominating performance, but it seemed like that was just the one I gravitated to.
Yeah, Lloyd had the kick return touchdown that could win it for him, though Yost also is going to be in the running. This award is weird. Ever since they brought it in, it is kind of back and forth on what the league decides they like, but should be a good one. And then
Yeah,
finally, once oh, go ahead.
touchdowns don't seem to count much, carry much weight in this. It's the yardage,
Yeah.
the yardage.
So this is the final one. Game of the week. Like I think it was 2 weeks ago, there's a bunch of nominees, 6 nominees, 12 teams, half the league up for debate. Auburn at Kentucky 40-35. Ohio State beats USC 45-38. Florida beats Alabama 43-40. Oklahoma beats Colorado 38 or 40. No, Colorado beats Oklahoma 42-38. Florida State beats Virginia Tech 38-35, and then Penn State beats Michigan 34-27. I personally chose the Florida upset over Alabama. Anyone else? I'll start with Dominic because I think you chose that game as well. Am I correct? Or you
I
chose your
chose
own team?
I chose my game.
Oh, you just chose your game. Okay. And then okay, I'm gonna make this very easy. Tank, did you choose Florida State?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And then James, who'd you choose? Because you didn't have a personal bias on it.
I took the Auburn Kentucky game because Kentucky almost broke that regular season win streak. They was working on it anyway.
Alrighty. So that was good. I'll ask this question then to Tank and Dominic, excuse me, because we have the time here. If you didn't choose your own team, what games would you choose? And I'll start with Tank. If you weren't going to choose Florida State.
I would have picked the Auburn and Kentucky game.
Oh no, Dominic, don't tell me.
Unfortunately, I would pick Florida State, Virginia Tech.
You guys are no fun. I hope you know that.
I mean, we had two of the best games this week.
You
If there's going to
did.
be an argument, we had the two best games this week.
I
No,
mean, to
no
be fair,
love.
argue with a brick wall. I'm not going to pick Florida in Alabama.
You're not going to pick Alabama losing?
No, because I expect that. Florida State had a struggle win, but ended up getting it done, and so
They
did
lost to
we.
Florida, Cole. I can't pick Florida.
Yeah, it's Florida. No, are you asking me to just not
No,
like
I'm
myself?
just
No.
curious because they also had the Colorado upset over Oklahoma, but like nobody even mentioned that one.
Probably didn't think about it for a reason.
All right. Well, great picks, I guess. Some of them more obvious than others. Um, all right. I mean, that's pretty much it. Looking at, I do want to do this before we finish this podcast schedule. Just a few questions that have come up this season. We are at the end of the regular season. This is the last podcast before the playoffs. Well, we'll have one that's right before the playoffs, assuming there's not another hurricane. But yeah, 7, almost 8 weeks down. We've had a lot of great response to this show. I know there's a lot of requests for a video show, like putting us on camera. I have the capabilities of it. We're working on it. I would expect sometime this offseason we're going to do 1 or 2 video uh, podcasts. So be on the lookout for that. We are going to be sticking with this Sunday schedule. It was a lot of fun. And we have some great ideas coming in this off season. Actually, Mike himself gave me a pick, an idea to have like a history podcast and have I don't know who we would put on it. It would probably be Mike, Frosty, and Grin, but we're still working on it. It's going to be a lot of fun. The last few weeks have definitely been crazy, but I think you guys are sticking with me and sticking with the show. And I think that's really about going to be it. We are not going to do a chaos quiz this week as talked about before. So I guess I'll finish it off and we'll start with James. Anything you. Oh, for James, because it's his first time. At the end of the show, I usually give guys 30 seconds to talk about their team, talk about whatever they want before we close off. Anything you'd like to say? You got about 30 seconds, James.
I just want to throw a shout out to Drake because he just got married yesterday. So
Yes.
everybody needs to get on and give him a good congratulations.
And when we were trying to get it, because we had a guy that had a late drop, so we had to get a late ad, and James was that late add on. Like Drake volunteered the day after his marriage to jump on the show, and I had to tell him no, which good for him. but also don't you dare. Like, dude, you just got married. Congratulations, Drake. Do not jump on my show. Please go enjoy your honeymoon. But yeah, congratulations to Drake. I honestly I should have put that at the top of the show, but I put it here. Tank, you got 30 seconds. What do you want to talk about?
I was gonna sing the war chant for 30 seconds, but then I
I will
realized
mute
like,
you.
yeah, like I was
I
like,
will
yeah, I
mute
was
you.
like, let me not do that. It's an amazing time at Florida State. It is senior night. Shout out to all the seniors, all the guys. I mean, coming in 2 years ago, as a transfer, it was a different time. Didn't know what to expect, but definitely fell in love with the team, fell in love with the guys that were there. So all the seniors, shout out to y'all. Let's have the fun night. Let's beat Miami. Let's go to the playoffs, man. Let's enjoy the playoffs. Let's win one. I feel like we had the talent to do it.
And before I get to Dominic, I will also say it has been a pleasure watching your player, both on my team and then on Grim's team. So nothing but love for your player, Tank. And
Thank you,
one
sir. Thank
one
you.
last guy for the cousin of Smoke Monday.
Yes, sir.
All right. One last time for Auburn, Dominic. Talk about your team.
So is this about time to use my 30 seconds to start playing the Auburn fight song?
Yeah, I will. I will mute you. I'm gonna ban that. As much as I love that fight song, you're not playing it 30 seconds. I'm not gonna get my copyright. I'm not gonna get hit
No,
with a
I mean,
copyright strike.
I
honestly, I'm just
mean,
gonna
I'm gonna sing the Georgia version of it. So
honestly, I'm taking my 30 seconds, and I'm really just gonna I'm gonna reflect and wind down as I come to the end. This is so my character was named after myself. This is the end of my first character in the league. So while I am capping off a send off for my player and really looking to put a ring on my hand this year, and truth be told, give me Auburn, Florida State in the Natty. Let me have my salty run back to really end all runbacks. I am happy with what this Auburn team has done over the last 2 years under Beard. We have really busted things wide open, and I am proud to go off with this team around me. This week is our senior game as well. Hats off to the boys. Let's go do it one more time. Let's end it off with a statement win against Bama, and let's get locked and loaded for the playoffs. We came up short last year. We refuse to be shut out again. This is our natty. This is our ring. Let's go get it. War damn Eagle.
I should mention that was much over. That was like a whole minute, over a minute.
I, I
So
was
definitely.
I was wondering because I can't
Yeah,
hear him, and I was like, God, that was a very long silent
Since
pause.
since Tank can't hear me, just tell him that I was talking bad about Florida State. Just
he was
rile him
talking
up.
bad about Florida State. Don't worry, Tank. That's what he told me to tell you. Okay, so that's really gonna do it for us, though. And thank you all three of you for being on. Again, glad to be back. We're gonna try to get back on a weekly schedule here. Have not too many more disruptions. I lost internet, man, for like 5, 6, 7, no, 8 days. I don't think I've ever had that at this house since I've lived here in Florida. That was crazy. So glad to be back, and hearts out to everyone affected by Hurricanes Helene and Milton as well. I know we mentioned that last week or last 2 weeks ago, excuse me. But building back stronger. I am wearing actually you guys can't see it. I am wearing my Ray shirt today, kind of to show out. Hoping to get that trop either blown up and they build a new one or they fix it up. So
No, please,
that's
new stadium. Get rid of
they
Tropicana
got a new
Field.
stadium coming up, but like it's gonna take a few years. So I don't want the Rays to have to move for 3 years. That's the only thing. I hope they stay in Tampa area. But yeah, I'll say it. Go Rays, go Mets. Mets are trying to stay alive too. I know DT Hall's a big Dodgers fan, so I'll shout that out. Go Mets. I've always been a Mets fan since I was a kid too. That's why in the OTP league I'm Mets, and then maybe I'll be the Rays when they bring them in the 90s. But all right, that's gonna do it for us. Great show, great guest, and a great time. We'll start. Thank you, James, the OC of Michigan State, for jumping on. Thank you, Tankasaurusrex, the recruiting coordinator for Florida State, for jumping on. And thank you, Dominic. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name then. The tight end, Domenik Barfield from Auburn, for jumping on the show. This is going to be the end of the 13th edition of the Cole Mantell Show. We'll be back for real this time next week, next weekend, with 3 new guests and previewing the playoffs. Enjoy some great games this week. We got 24 teams, only 16 spots open. That's going to do it for us. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you later.